Day 29 of the fast, 8:33 p.m. 2024. 29 days ago, I decided to go on an instant gratification and sugar fast for 4 months. There have been a few close calls, but no relapses as of yet. I'm still going strong with the drawing and everything else. But I said by this Friday I was going to make ads for the cars. The people who are interested in the cars have expressed that they're going to come by maybe Monday or sometime next week. But I feel like I should still have some ads drafted out, so I'm going to make sure I have some ads drafted out for the cars so that if it doesn't happen, I can just post it and respond as it comes. As for the van, I'm 90% certain that I'm not going to sell that. I think the person is just going to come and get it. And as much as I want to tell him no, I did promise him that. I don't know. I really shouldn't, but I'm gonna. The other car is still mine. But today I want to like just talk about the power of the mind. I was listening to some things earlier because I wanted to try and find a way to get past the wall I was facing with my little self-improvement and everything else. So I did a little bit of research. I was listening to something that said that what you think is what you become. And I already knew that, but I did need a reminder. Because I was letting my negative thoughts consume me, and I almost got discouraged. But essentially, and I'll link it down below so that you guys can listen to it too. Essentially, the idea, he has explained it in a parable. It was like, your mind is like a piece of land. The land doesn't care what you plant in it. It'll return what you put in it. So if you put nightshade on one end of the land and carrots on the other side of the land, you're going to get both. And he was basically saying that the mind is like the land. It doesn't care what you plant in it. It's going to return what you give. It'll return poison as much as it'll return produce. It doesn't care what you plant in it. So, I ask you, how do you guys think on a daily basis? Do you know? Like, would you say you think more negatively? Would you say you think more positively? Or would you say you think more realistically, like you do a little bit of both, but in reality you're most likely thinking negatively more often than not? Toxic positivity is dangerous, but I think in some ways it's important for us to think positively and be grateful for what we have. And sorry, today is a hard video. But it's important to know what we are planting in our own garden. And if you don't know, start keeping a journal. Even if your thoughts aren't organized yet, just write down what you think before the night's end. Take as long as you need to, or take as short as you need to get it all out. It'll also help you sleep better if you struggle with sleep. It'll help calm your thoughts down. I use it to help with my occasional insomnia sometimes. But yeah. If your thoughts are keeping you up at night or inspiring you to do certain things, write them down. Write your thoughts down so that they're on paper. You see them, and you train yourself to observe your thoughts more. Then you can figure out where your thoughts are. A lot of people think that we're slaves to our own mind, but that's not the truth. We make those choices every day, even unconsciously. But you can consciously decide to go the opposite direction. Only animals really can't really get out of their thought patterns. Which is why if you make it... No, that's not a good example, but animals can't think critically like that. So they often end up being a slave to their own minds, their desires and stuff like that, but we're not animals. We are not slaves to our mind. And it just takes that one step to get a little bit closer to that realization. Start small and pick up speed later. Yesterday, I actually journaled on that while I was on air. But I think it's important to reiterate that start small, start slow. Just get started. Then, as you get more comfortable doing the slow stuff, challenge yourself more by picking up speed. Not by quantity, but by quality. If something isn't working, you can't figure out why it's working, maybe the knowledge lies in some other area. Maybe you don't know how to learn properly. Maybe you're too focused on trying to get an answer right away. We have to struggle to make progress. It's a fact of life, and it's just how the mind works. Frustration leads to progression. It leads to evolution. And I don't mean that in any type of way. But if you want to think differently, you have to first learn how, as weird as that sounds. You have to know how your own mind works. You have to know what thoughts you are having every day. And when you write it down, you're probably going to forget it. That's why you go back and you read it. You read what you wrote down, so you understand what was concerning you that day. And by doing that, you are training your brain to try and find a solution to the problem or concern that you were facing. At least that's how it worked with me. And I'm just now coming into this. Believe it or not, I actually had to struggle for years before I finally got to this point. It was partially because I wasn't putting enough into it, but it was also, maybe it was supposed to be that way. You don't have to be anything you don't want to be. Success is only defined by what you decide it is. If you're fine just having a stable job and going home to play video games at the end of your day, and you can't really think of wanting anything more, that's good. More power to you. If you want to become an artist, for example, like I'm trying to do, you should be making the steps necessary to do that. If you don't want to be average, the person who goes to work, comes home, and just does whatever and repeats the same process again, if you're not happy with that, you need to start making the steps toward that now. And it starts all up here in your mind. Later, you'll dive deeper into your subconscious mind. But right now, start with just your mind in general. Because your subconscious mind is probably screaming out to you right now. But you can't hear it because you don't even know what you're thinking most of the time. A lot of people will say they're scatterbrained, or they have ADD or no focus. But I don't necessarily think it's not necessarily that they don't have it, but that they don't know how. And we live in an age of information. So you can find those things. If you really are ADHD, autistic, whatever, there are techniques you can use to get the ball rolling. I've used some of them on myself. Not consistency, but I can at least say that they work. So, it's important. It's important not to be a slave to your own head. And it's important to know what is going into your head. That's your garden. If you're not planting beautiful flowers in your garden, you're planting something else. And if you're feeling some type of way right now, in a dark place, whatever, that is you making that decision. And you could decide at any time to start thinking differently. Does it take time? Does it happen immediately? It does not happen immediately. And it does take time. You have to unlearn a lot of the things that you learned, either from your past or just your experiences in general. Maybe, even from your past, sometimes just the people you are around can influence your thoughts too. If you're around people who are depressed all the time and complain about the world and how bad it is, you're most likely doing that too, if not audibly, mentally. But if you spend time with people who are doing the opposite, and that includes just, you don't even have to spend time with them physically. You can just listen to them, read about them. If you have the ability to have those people around you, that's great. I'm still working on that myself. I tell me your secrets, please. But it's important to know what to plant in your own garden. I know I've said that a lot, but I think I feel like I should say it until it sticks in your head. You have to know what you are harvesting in your mind. And if you have to learn not to plant poison, then start with that. As promised, I will leave the video I'm talking about that I listened to down below so that you guys can watch it yourself. But if nothing else, just take heed what I said. You have the ability to to change how you think right now. And then when you change your thoughts, you change your words. When you change your words, you change your actions. I think that's backwards, but some old philosopher said that. I don't remember who it was. So with that being said, I hope you all are taking care of yourselves. God bless you in your endeavors.